You know, I think about government, I go back, I love Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was a great writer and a great man, one of our great forefathers. And Thomas Jefferson said this, he said that a government that's big enough to give you everything you want is big enough to take everything you have. And in the United States of America today, we're in a war. We're in a battle. And we're in a battle for our freedoms. And it's time that we wake up, get off the couch, get out from in front of the TV. These are all things I told myself, and get involved. Ronald Reagan said this back in the 60s. He said, let's not let history say of us that those that had the most to lose did the least from keeping it from happening. And so as American citizens, we've watched over the last year the erosion of our freedoms. We've watched an administration that cares more about himself, and I'm just speaking the truth. He uses the word I and mine more than any leader I've heard in modern history, instead of the American people and we. And that's concerning whenever you hear that. And he's taken us on a socialist path, a European socialist path, along with the Democrats that have taken power in Congress, and trying to head us in a direction that's contrary to what our forefathers' vision was, what they set forth, and the U.S. Constitution. We as American people, if we don't stand up and take the reins back, then we're going to watch our freedoms continue to erode until one day we are going to be France. That's certainly not where we want to be. Is anybody in here from France? Is anybody in here a Frenchman? Okay, I can say this then and probably get away with it. There's only two good things that I know of that come out of France. French fries and French's mustard. And I think if you research those are American. The plight that we find ourselves in now is a plight that fired up the Tea Parties earlier last year. I had the privilege of being involved in that at the ground floor in a group called Americans for Integrity in Government. A group that I sat with at a Bible study each week on Thursday mornings for the last several years, and have been tremendously blessed by the friendships developed there. Several of those folks are here. Sammy over at Mardell's is kind enough to host that for us, and I do have an open invitation for anybody who'd like to show up at 6:30 on Thursdays. We'd love to have you. But you know, we got to talking about the issues and things that were happening, and we finally came to the conclusion: who's going to do something about it? And we realized, you know what, it needs to be us. The problem that working people have, business people, those that have families and work to take care of their families, is we think that we don't have time to get involved. And we have to put a system together, and we have to rise up and work within that system that is going to take the conservative values of most Americans, the majority of Americans, put it at the forefront, get it into office, and then hold it accountable. The Republican Party, I've been a Republican for 30 years. The first time I voted was in 1978, and I voted for Bill Clements. Those of you that remember that election, Bill Clements was the first Republican governor elected in Texas in 100 years. And Bill Clements did a nice job for us. A couple of years after that, one of my personal heroes that I admire to this day, Ronald Reagan, came to office. Ronald Reagan was a great man, had a great vision for America, and he understood the Constitution. He understood what America was all about and should be about. And America is about the individuals, the freedoms that we have, that we can go out and pursue our dreams, the happiness that is there for us to get. There's no guarantees that that's going to happen, but we can pursue them. We live in a free country that when we fail, as sometimes we do, we can pick ourselves up, learn from our failures, and continue to move forward and to grow. And that's what makes us better men, better organizations, better women, and better companies, when those things are allowed to happen. In a socialist attitude, the government will take care of you. The government will make sure that you don't fail. We've seen that happen over the last year, and it's time that we make it change. One of the issues in the Republican Party, unfortunately, over the last several years is we've blurred the lines of conservatism. The majority of conservative Americans don't know where the Republicans truly stand, because while we have a platform that talks about limited government, family values, and life, pro-life, the protection of innocent life, some of the people that's been Republican in name have not stood for those things once they got into office. Again, it's time for us to remove those, not only the Democrats, but the Republicans in name that are not Republican at heart. The conservative values of the Republican Party were written by the grassroots of this state, and they reflect your values and my values as American citizens, and it should be upheld. The responsibility of the Republican chairman, and I've had many conversations with people about this, where they say, well, your responsibility is to find candidates and support equal and not be biased. That seems to be what the idea is of the number one responsibility of the Republican county chairman. I'm going to tell you what the number one responsibility of the Republican county chairman is. That's to uphold the party principles and platforms in the party at the county level. To be a beacon of what this party stands for, so that people can depend and trust on who we are and what we're about, and they can come out and vote for us knowing that we're going to stick to those values and we're going to stay with them.